Mic check, mic check. What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Hip Hop Snapshots. I'm your host, Ross Martinez, and today let's talk about the golden age of hip hop media. More specifically, let's look at 1989 to 2008 on BET, a show called Rhapsody The Basement. It did something most media platforms currently are terrified to do. It left room for mistakes. It wasn't polished. There were no algorithms, no brand safety. Before perfection became the goal, Rhapsody understood something hip hop has always known. Progress doesn't come from being polished and honed in. It comes from playing around, messing around, and figuring yourself out. So without further ado, grab that milk crate, take a seat. It's time to talk hip hop history. Early hip hop, it wasn't clean. And I'm not talking about lyrically. Let's go through some receipts. DJs found scratching by accident. Breaks came from looping mistakes. Styles were born from gear doing things it wasn't supposed to do. Shout out to Jay Dilla. That same energy lived inside Rhapsody The Basement. BET didn't start out trusting hip hop. Let's get on the same page about that. Executives at the time didn't understand it. They felt jazz and more of that represented BET better than hip hop and rap. Executives didn't understand the culture or the art form, and rap wasn't treated like art. It was treated like an adverse risk that you didn't want to put money behind. So it got tested. It moved around different hours with rap weeks and videos being played late at night. And they had very low expectations. But then the numbers started coming back from those programs and those small moments. And rap episodes weren't just popular. They became the highest rated programming BET had in that era. Not because they were refined and polished, but because they felt alive and represented something that wasn't on TV yet. Rhapsody didn't look like a normal television broadcast either. It looked like hanging out in someone's basement, a rec room, a spot where nobody was pretending to be something they weren't. Artists, they missed some of the bars. They stumbled on words, they caught their breath, and nobody hit stop. And that was the magic. Because hip hop doesn't grow in sterile environments. It grows where people feel safe enough to risk looking foolish. You can't innovate if every moment you have has to be flawless. That's impossible standards to live up to. The more you refine the culture, the more quality you bleed out of it. Let me say that one more time. The more you refine the culture, the more quality you will bleed out of it. The Basement wasn't about hype either. It was a trial. No backtracks, no edits, no excuses. If you stepped in the booth, you were saying, judge me by my skill. And that's why it mattered so much. So many of your favorites proved themselves there before they were legends, before they were hip-hop myths, and before safety nets of backing tracks. Not because the platform crowned them, but because it exposed who had it and who didn't. That booth didn't manufacture greatness. It revealed who had it. The hosts weren't chasing social media fame. They weren't the attraction either. They were caretakers, and you could feel it. They knew when to talk, when to listen, when to let the culture kind of breathe and be itself. And one of the most iconic hosts they've ever had, a guy by the name Big Tigger. Big Tig, he didn't sanitize Rhapsody at all. And when he came on board was when they rebranded to become The Basement, and they had those ciphers. And that's what elevated the brand of Rhapsody so much. You know, he let the chaos work itself out. If you go back and watch the interviews, go on YouTube, they have full episodes. And you can see why he is considered one of the legends in hip-hop media. That restraint is very rare in hosts. And that's why the show lasted as long as it did, and it got that second life when he came on board. Let's call it what it is, though. That was the golden era of hip hop media. Not because budgets were bigger, but because intent felt more pure. Media doesn't exist to chase trends, it existed to document movements at that time. And Rhapsody didn't tell hip hop what it could and should be. It asked, "What are you becoming?" and show us what you got. And that question, I feel, is missing today in hip hop media. Because now we're here in 2026 and everything is optimized, everything is measurable, everything is content, everything is strategic, everything has a lens of curation. Metrics, charts, they control what's hot and not. And artistry doesn't feel as special as it once did. And somehow something feels thinner when it comes to hip hop media. And people are saying hip hop is dying, and hip hop isn't dying. Maybe it's just overmanaged and there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Maybe the culture doesn't need another algorithm, another marketing plan, a new person telling you what's hot and not. Maybe it just needs another basement, a place to mess up, to experiment, to rediscover why this thing worked in the first place. Hip hop was never built on perfection or to be perfect. It was built on expression, to try, to fail, to be authentic, to be you, to speak about your perspective in this world. To be hip hop is to be flawed, and that is beautiful. Mic check, mic check. That's another episode of Hip Hop Snapshots. I'm your host, Ross Martinez, and if you ask any hip hop head about Rhapsody the Basement, they'll light up, man. It truly was one of those very iconic moments that you didn't know you were in the good days, but you were in the good days, especially during Rap Week. You would rush home, and in some households, people weren't allowed to listen to hip hop. I know I wasn't initially. So if I got home before Maz, I'd be able to put it on the TV real quick before she got home and started cooking dinner. And I'd be like, yo, who's Cameron? Yo, Rakim? Hey, who's this? Who's Prodigy? Like, it was such an iconic place where we discovered real hip hop artists, not the ones that got the right marketing dollars and campaigns telling you who's dope. So as always, go dig through some crates. Watch these episodes on YouTube. They have full episodes and cypher episodes where you could just watch people before they became the icons and forefathers of rap and hip hop. But as you do that, remember, error is beautiful. And never forget that hip hop and error are one and the same. To live, to grow, to try something, to be yourself and document your own struggles, that's hip hop. And never forget, be hip hop. I'm out. Peace.